So all we're going to do is paint the flower and the stem, and then add some leaves at the bottom that it's growing out of, and say hello. And don't worry about the lettering. Just do your best, and if you need to, you can even print it off. You could run the sheet through a printer and have it printed and then paint around it. As long as you don't get it wet, it'd be just fine. So the first thing that we need to do is get our paintbrush wet. And we are going to mix up some paint colors here. So I mixed blue and green, and maybe even a little yellow. So you want to pick up a lot of green, see, and run it around on the pan. Lots of green. And then go ahead and get a little bit of blue, but not a lot, just a little. And that's a nice deep shade, but that would be more of like what we want in the middle. I think that I would like it to be, so I'm washing my brush off a little bit before I pick up some yellow, because the yellow, you want true yellow, not kind of mottled yellow. So I want to add a little yellow, and that'll lighten it just a bit for us to get kind of a more interesting color. And even that, you know, I think, and see, it's fine if you get the colors mixed, that'll like wash right out, it's not a big deal. So it's the beauty of watercolors. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with that. We'll go with that. Then what you want to do is get a little more water on your brush. And we'll go ahead and do one leaf first, since we mixed up our nice pretty colors. And just from the bottom, all I did was that. You just draw a nice line. And then go here to the tip of the line. And we're going to kind of just go down the first side, and you turn the paper as much as you need to get a good angle to work at. And then we just kind of boop, like that. Boop. Right? And I'm doing 3. See? And then I always turn the paper. I turn this like the whole time I'm working, because you want to make sure it looks just right. And then you kind of push down and then lift up. Start tip to tip, tip of the brush to the tip of the end there. And kind of lift it as you pick it up there. Push, and then pick it up. Okay? And then get a little more water. And you can let the paint, you don't need to add more paint necessarily, because it'll make it look really cool and like it's faded. And then do the same on the top. I just kind of round that one. And then you want to come back here and go, whoop, and 2, and you know what, let's do 3. See? And do the same thing. And then I turn it, because I work best pulling the paintbrush toward me, which I think is true for most people. Start at the end there and make a kind of round it out and pull it back. Round it out, pull it back. And I like having this little white space there. You see that? I think that really adds something to the leaf, but if you don't like it, just put another dot of paint there. You're good. And I'm kind of dragging this water down, because I don't want I don't want this leaf that wet, but that's a nice bit of water that we can share. There you go. So go ahead and clean your brush off. Get it nice and clean. And for the flower, all I did was red. And then you just take the red, just what we did with the green, but you don't even need to mix it. So see the red here? You just roll your brush around in the red, and then I kind of wash it out a little on the pan. And when you're all finished, just put water on this and it'll come right out. See, right, like that. Now the flower you want to be really wet, because honestly, you're gonna freak out when you see how weird this is. It's so easy. So I want the flower kind of like right up here at the tip of the page, and you don't want it dripping, but you want it really wet. And then honestly, just make like a big blob. This is what you call a loose floral. And see, look, that looks kind of flowery, doesn't it? That's pretty. Wash your brush off, and while this is still nice and wet, grab some of that yellow. And if you did mix green in, make sure you're not getting green with your yellow. Wipe it out a little first. Okay? And then you get a little yellow on the brush, and you just dab it in the center. See? And it spreads because it's so wet. And you can add a little more or a little less, whatever you like. I think that looks like a really nice flower for a loose floral, you know. Supposed to give more the hint of what it is as opposed to be exactly correct, which is, I think, what makes it really fun. Then we're going to pick up some more green. You can use any green you want. You can use the shade we just mixed. You can use pure green. I'm going to add just a touch of blue, just a little, to make a shade darker here in this green, just so that it's a little different. I'm not even sure how well you'll be able to tell, but you know, it'll make me happy. So, and then you just go from here straight down like that, and use just the tip of the brush, and you can bleed it into the sleeve if you want. That's fine. It'll spread, but you know, if you like that, then do it. And I like kind of a wobbly stem because flowers don't really grow straight all the time, especially when they're growing through foliage like that. You know, they'll kind of get a nice twisty stem going. I don't know. I think it makes it interesting. If you hate it, don't do it. Then you want to clean your brush off again and add more blue. So much more blue. So we have this nice green that we mixed here, you can see, but we want a lot more blue. So what you're going to do is just load up the blue and add it in. And you know what? If it's too much blue, you just add green. It's an easy fix. Just keep mixing till you get the color that you want. And you can't actually see. This looks a little different on the camera. It's a little more teal than what you're seeing there. So, and then we've got it nice and loaded up with paint. So just drop it and dip it into the water to get it a little wet. And then I think that this flower, I want to come, I think what we should do here is work from this side in because this is still pretty wet. So what I'm going to do is come down the side right here. And now with this picture, I wanted the flower to be the highest thing because I want it to be popping up to say hello. So I'm not going to put any leaves up next to the flower. I'm going to keep them all down below it. Okay, so we did our stem. Now you do just the same thing. Like this. And just kind of up like they're arching. And you know what? If you don't do them in this shape, you'll still have leaves. There'll be different leaves, but not bad leaves. So it doesn't have to look exactly like this. And then go ahead and just pull it back. Push and pull. And then just lift it up at the end there, see? There, and I like having that white space, like I said, but if you don't like it, don't keep it. It's not a big deal. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go in here and do another little end on that leaf. And then I'm gonna get just a bit of water and go ahead and do some more. Now I kind of like to do a almost alternating leaf pattern. It's not perfect because I'm not really trying to do it exactly that way, but I like having the stems kind of alternate, the leaves on the stem here, like that. And then this one we'll just do like this, and like that. And there you go. You've got another leaf. Look at that. Okay, so now we have 2 shades of stems, some nice floral greenery here, and we've got our flower coming out. So now what we want to do is fill in the middle with, I don't know, 2 or 3 more stems. And what I'm going to do, you don't have to do it. The only difference is if you don't do it this way, there will be more bleeding between the stems. But honestly, I think that looks really cool too. So if you do that, I would love to see it and see how that turns out. So just get it kind of nice and wet, and then add, I know, you know what I'm going to say, more blue. More blue. Mix it in. And now we're getting into the really teal kind of color looking here. It's very pretty color. Okay, that's nice and loaded. My brush is still pretty wet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come right across the middle here. And do just a little, like right there. There you go. Now see, that's bleeding a little, but this is mostly dry, so it's not too bad. But if I did this, here, I'll show you what happens, like that. That's not too bad, it's dry enough, you could do it. So it depends on how much water you have, how much it's gonna bleed into your other one. So, yeah, see, there's some water there, but it's mostly staying in this color, so we're good. And like I said, if you don't mind it bleeding, then go for it. There we go. And I'm not using as much water on these leaves, not because I don't like how it looks, but because I want to paint over them soon, and so I want them to be more dry. That being said, this side I can add a little bit more, so I'll just get my brush a little wet. I'm not adding more paint because I want it to be kind of washed out looking. Like that. And then do the same thing here, like this. Like that. And you know what? It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the whole point. There you go. And now we've got a few there. So I think we should do one more and add maybe a little purple to it. Should we see what happens? I don't know. It'd be fun. Okay, so get your brush wet, grab some purple, and mix it in. What are we gonna get? I didn't get enough. Okay. There. Ooh, that's a nice color. Let's do that. Add more purple. Yeah. There we go. Look at that. It's like a completely different shade. Pretty. Okay. And I'm going to get this a little more wet. And then all you need to do is do another one. And this one we can kind of have come straight like this. There we go. And see, when the water pools, you can kind of distribute it with your brush. It doesn't have to just stay where it lands. You can move it around. Go like this. Like that. And I need a little more water, I think, to get it to look really nice here. Oh, yeah, much better. There we go. And I'm kind of trying to get this little effect here as much as I can because I really like it. But like I said, if you don't, then don't worry about it. Then like this and like this. And that's why I didn't use very much water on this one because you can see it didn't bleed at all. So that worked out really well. Yay! Like that and like that. And I think I'm even going to add a little bit right there. Perfect. And I think we need one more. So what you can do is you can blend another color. And I think what would look really nice is maybe just a little more purple. Or should we do, I think maybe we should do just another one of these colors. I think that's a nice color. So let's do that. I'm going to go back and I'm going to mix it again. Just over here, kind of like right next to it. And a little space there. And see, that's a nice green. And I'm just going to pick up a little blue. Not too much. And look, that's a very vibrant green. And then we'll add a little yellow. And like I said, they're so easy to wash out. Don't worry about it. Look at that, pretty. Okay. So now our brush has lots of paint that we just mixed up. Get it a little wet, and let's do our last stem here. And I'm going to have it go this way because this is more wet than this one. So if it falls this way, the leaves will be over the dry stuff. If you plan better than me, you can do them any way you want. Or if you're patient, you can just wait for them to dry. But I'm neither of those. So here we go. Okay. Like that. Like that. This one's kind of a thicker stem, but it still looks all right. There we go. And if you wanted to, it could be cool to kind of leave one of them half empty, like it's just growing. Maybe that's how they grow. I don't know, kind of like a pothos plant. There we go. Like that. And like that. There you go. And that is how you do the floral part of the card. And then come in, I'm going to let this dry, and then we will come in and write the words.